I'm just saying. What up? Man.
Things I would do to you if you don't have my money. You don't have my money. You don't have my money. I have to give it to you. If you don't have my money, you don't have my money. You don't have my money. Things I would do to you if you don't have my money. You don't have my money. You don't have my money. I have to give it to you. Where the fuck is my money? You don't have my money. Stand up. I would do to you. Love of Wine Records. Olives and Bullets. Y'all know how we do. This a Naga production again. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have you know what I'm saying? We can't go too far without playing some trill shit that came about the Naga camp just motherfucking recently, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? King Ruben hit him with the canceling Craig. They canceling Craig. I heard somebody canceling Craig's song. You know what I'm saying? Them weak ass niggas, but you know what I'm saying? Y'all know who y'all is. You know what I'm saying? We ain't that's why we just call y'all niggas the Craigs. You know what I'm saying? You could be anybody, y'all weak ass. But check here goes some gangster shit for y'all ass. Let's see.
To silence all those who silenced me.
Damn right, a nigga fan too. Punch a body in the sand dune. Damn right, a nigga fan too. Plant your body in the sand dune. Keep it chopping, keep your man cool. Keep it chopping, keep your man cool. Goofy ass niggas always talking that shit.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got
You
to
talking
lie.
niggas always running that lip.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got
Goofy
to
ass
lie.
niggas always talking that shit.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't
You
got to
talking
lie.
niggas always running that lip.
You ain't got to lie.
Niggas be talking that tough shit, like where you at? Where you ass niggas. This shit women always out chasing and back chats. When shit get real, niggas get the duck and they act flat. Nigga, you ain't got no beef. Narcissism, this a contradiction, this a sharp incision, this a shark conviction. Fuck the news, ain't nothing new under the sun, bitch. Sun, bitch. Catch them in Texas and Memphis, so word to run quick. Run quick. When the cock go crow, we lock and load. That's a murder shit. That's a murder shit. Said King say it's upstream, but it's turbulence, not hurting shit. Fuck, keep it the book, real niggas don't listen to tranny moans. Tranny moans. Birthday canceling Craig's, nigga, my favorite song. My favorite song. This real not gonna word the news, niggas, they beta clones. Beta clones. They ratings gone, what the fuck is they hating on? Got his life, but not put the laser on. Goofy ass niggas always talking that shit.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to
You talking
lie.
niggas always running that
You
lip.
ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got
Goofy
to
ass
lie.
niggas always talking that shit.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got
You
to
talking
lie.
niggas always running that lip.
You ain't got to lie.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Put them cowards in the fryer. Stitching stitches in they jeans. Check them niggas for a wire. Naga, naga, the empire. Smoking crabs in the Hampshire. In they head like a rental buyer. That dragon flame make the Kindle higher. I know some dribbler niggas that'll pop that nigga for a feature. Resurrect your soul with ancient scrolls. I'm robbing reapers.
Roll a riddle up and put some fire to the edge. Got a puff pass when you smoking on that Craig. Bitch, you the news, we always on your front page. And when Naga tsunami, you always trying to catch some waves. Man, you niggas can't see us cause we be shining gamma ray. God is light, drops mic, come get these bodies off the stage.
Yeah. That was y'all new joint, goofy ass niggas. Always talking that shit. That was me and your Bird King Ruben, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know how, like I told you, know how we get down. But we're going to go and get onto the meat and potatoes of this shit, you know what I'm saying? Because we're going to try to keep it kind of short and sweet, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't want to waste no time. So we're going to review a couple of these Thunderbolt videos. Like I said, as y'all know, you know what I'm saying, God is light, light is electromagnetism has been a idea and a concept that you know what I'm saying, Naga basically came up with, you know what I'm saying, when we were heavy off into like the whole debate circuits and stuff like that, which is it is still undefeated. that whole concept of what God is undefeated. Ain't nobody been able to unroot that. You know what I'm saying? And we've been going through atheists, we've been going through religious fanatics, all different types of stuff. So, you know, it ain't my fault that people are have their own ideology of what God is. When they hear the word God, they are psychologically triggered by that word. That is not my fault. You know what I'm saying? Which again goes back to the whole point of me telling people that, you know, y'all engage in idol worship. I'm gonna just be honest with you. Most people, religious people, y'all all engage in idol worship. You know what I'm saying? Because God is not none of that crap y'all keep trying to make God to be. God is not a person. You see what I'm saying? God is energy, pure energy. So we're gonna get off to this discussion. I don't know which one you wanna do, man. It's so many of these videos. It's so many of them. They got some short ones. Some of them like 7, 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes long. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, if you're looking at the screen, I can make it bigger so you could full screen the motherfucking shit. Which one of these you want to go review today? We got let's see, what's the deal with matter? You got the relativity and light of GPS, wings of a butterfly. You got destruction. It's called destructioning, deconstructing. Stephen Quintet, Thunderbolt Project stuff, man. See which one of these y'all want to do. Big Bang,
overall electric universe.
You say what?
They got anything dealing with the overall electric universe theory?
Let me see. Because it's like I know when people say electric universe and then plasma universe, they kind of like separate the two, and I don't know why they do that. But you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, like when I was talking to Andrew, he was basically saying that it's kind of like plasma cosmology is like the core of it, and then like the electric universe or like the kooky wacky nutball part of, you know. I mean, like that's the way he kind of put it, but you know what I'm saying. So I don't really see it like that. I'm gonna see if I can find one that's just specific about you want to know more about the electric universe, or do you want to know more about plasma cosmology?
So yeah, either one, you know what I'm saying? Because in my understanding, it would be basically the same thing. Because
Yeah.
you can't have plasma without electricity.
Right. Let me see. Let me find something here. It's so many of them. I think somebody just knocked on the door. Oh no, I thought somebody knocked on the door. Hold on. Let me go back to it. Let me see here. Okay, so let's watch this one. I watched this the other day. It ain't that long, I don't think. It is a little long.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then I can't overstate how much value the lucid visual collaboration.
Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. Yeah, we're just doing a review of this,
news
y'all.
from the electric universe, brought to you by the ThunderBolt Project at thunderbolts.info.
What does the future hold for the space sciences? More than half a century ago, inspired interest in space exploration was remarkably high among the general public, and attention was held rapt by the race to the moon. However, in the 21st century, the electric universe, it is alight with electric currents, and the physical mechanisms that spark the phenomena we see are both understandable and easily replicable in laboratories on Earth. Recently, we spoke with a member of the electric Electric Universe community, who has made it his mission to introduce the young and the curious to the ideas of the electric universe. His name is Benjamin Hyde, and he is a science presenter on the news station Fox 13 out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We asked Ben to introduce himself and to describe his efforts to spark inspiration and interest in the sciences among today's youth.
This is Benjamin Hyde, and I have been studying physics, specifically quantum physics, for the better part of 2.5 decades. It's been a passion of mine. It's something that I love and I really enjoy. And now, 2.5 decades later, I realized that the reason why I was so fascinated with it is because I like understanding the fundamentals of things, reality. And quantum physics, from my old understanding, was that where that explanation was going to come from. You know, I wanted to know what everything was made of. And so I studied it, and I did what everybody in this field did. You know, I just took what was given to me and accepted it. And because I didn't have anything different at the time, I said, okay, this is what it is. And it didn't really dawn on me that it didn't make sense. And if it didn't, I'm just like, well, I'll just roll with it. I remember specifically a few years ago when dark matter and dark energy really hit the stage, and I learned that 96.5% or whatever it is of the known universe was either dark matter and dark energy. And I thought, wow, that is a profound amount of stuff in the universe that we don't know anything about. So I justified it in my mind that basically anything was possible because most of what we knew, we didn't know. So as I'm studying quantum physics, particle physics, cosmology, I of course ran across videos from the electric universe, because I would go to YouTube and I would watch, Brian Greene, the World Science Festival videos, loved those for a while. And of course, the electric universe videos would pop up every once in a while. And I'm like, great, I'll watch those too. And I did. But what happened, and this is funny, every time I would study physics, I would get to a burnout mode. I would study it for a few weeks and I would just get so frustrated, I just would lose interest in it. And now, looking back on it, I realized that was because I was studying nonsense and I was trying to bang this garbage stuff into my head. And there was a part of my head that was just saying, Ben, this isn't real. This is a mistake. So after one of these up and down times with quantum physics, I went into the electric universe and became enthralled. I learned who David Talbot was. I learned who Walt Thornhill was. And I learned what they had to say. And it was just captivating. And as we all know, I mean, all of us who are in this understand this feeling of like, oh, finally, all the stuff we've been studying our whole lives now finally makes sense. And I've never stopped. And what was interesting is that I never went back into that up and down pattern of studying it and then not studying it. I've just been constantly studying electric universe stuff because, we don't know everything. And there's still questions, clearly, but it feels like we're on the right path.
For a person with a previous focus in mainstream physics and cosmology, we asked Ben what might have caused his shift in interest toward the electric universe.
I think what it was is that I got to the point with particle physics and quantum physics where it was just so absurd that I couldn't help but drop it. But, drop particle physics. I mean, the whole idea that a thing can be both a wave and a particle is just so colossally absurd that it begs to be dropped. The fact that the electric universe, I think the first thing that really got me into it is the fact that they were talking about that everything in the universe is basically moved and affected by charge differential. I mean, I played with a battery. I've rubbed my feet across the carpet. I can create a charge differential. You can see it. And the lightning discharge between my fingertip and a wall socket when I rub my feet across the floor is just a scaled down version of lightning, what I see in the sky. And then when the electric universe talked about scaling, I'm like, scaling. Yes, I understand scaling. Because one of the things I found out that was just absolutely absurd, another one of the absurdities in the current model, is that quantum physics wasn't scalable. I was just like, wait a minute, guys, if there are fundamental principles of the universe, they would, by definition, have to be scalable. But quantum physics, by its own definition, says that our rules, the quantum physics rules, only work up to the scale of maybe a molecule.
Right.
And everything smaller than that. And above that, they don't work.
Right.
That's just silly. In every sense. I mean, it just defies common sense. And I got to tell you that this is getting a little personal, but at the time I was going through a faith crisis, a faith transition, and I just learned that everything I had been taught, religiously up until that point in my life was also it was just a story. And all of a sudden, when I allowed myself to think that, everything in my life suddenly made sense. All the ideas and questions I had that religion was supposed to answer that didn't answer, I realized I had just been making justifications for. And so when I lost the ability to justify what I had been told, that skill leaked out into science. And all of a sudden, I saw the same things with quantum physics, science in general, that I had been just assuming and justifying and rationalizing what these teachers of science have told me my whole life. And so it was easy in that respect to go into the electric universe because they had very simple concepts that were easily identifiable, stuff that you could do at home in a very, very simple sense, which is what I've done, to show the principles. See, I could never show quantum principles here at my house or to the kids that I teach. You could never do that. I mean, the closest it came was pointing a laser at a double slit and saying, look, you can see refraction patterns. But, even then, you're not demonstrating that life is both a particle and a wave. You're just telling people that that's what's happening. And that's as close as I could ever come to demonstrating the principles of quantum physics. And I'm thinking, if there's actual, real, fundamental laws of the universe, they should be demonstrable and they should be scalable. And that was one of the first things that Wallace Thornhill talked about, and mentioned that I think was it Hannes Alfvén said that the effects of the plasma cosmology were scalable to 10 to the 19th or 10 to the 16th. I'm like, great, perfect. That envelops the macroscopic world that I can interact with and the cosmological world. Perfect. Let's go.
After beginning his research into the concepts behind the electric universe, Ben began performing his own experiments on electric universe geology. That is, reproducing the familiar features of planets and moons through electrical discharge to a solid surface. We asked Ben if he could identify the catalyst for his own experimental research.
Of course, it was Valles Marineris and, Wall and David talking about how that they're scout craters and that electrical discharges could do this. I'm like, I was just fascinated because it was so brilliant to see Valles Marineris and realize how big it was. And the thought that electricity could do that was just captivating. So I was, of course, looking for how to do this. It was really funny. I was so blind by this. It's amazing because I had in my possession a transformer that took 120 volts and bumped it up to 12,000 volts, and I've had that for years, but it never dawned on me that I could play with it until I told one of my coworkers about the electric universe, and he said, you know what, Ben, I've got a transformer at my house that I use to create Lichtenberg patterns in wood. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. He said, I'll give it to you. And so I'm like, great, I'll take it. But I didn't even realize that I already had one in my possession. I'd been using it to create a Jacob's ladder for my science experiments for the kids that I do with Spark Science. And so I ran out and dismantled the probes or the two electrodes from my Jacob's ladder and just put them on a dust plate, like what you say, the little metal plate. And then I just created an electrode out of a screwdriver, and bam! I started throwing different powders on there, different dust, and just creating, you know, the butterfly effects that we see, the lightning scars, everything that the Electric Universe geology folks deal with. And it was just fun. And so I've just been out there for the last month throwing different powders on there. As a side note, I'm actually a licensed pyrotechnician, which means I build fireworks as well. So I've got a whole arsenal of different compounds. And I'm really curious to see how they all react to an electric field. And so I've been putting each one of these in the different fields. And I found that boric acid works, creates some really interesting effects. Baking soda creates really interesting effects. And charcoal's really interesting effects. And I've not gone through and tested all of my powders yet, but I'm in the middle of that. But that's what I do. And then I post a lot of this stuff to Facebook Live and to my Spark Science channel. And it's so fun. And anybody can do it.
Like many other members of the Electric Universe geology community, Ben himself resides in the American Southwest. We asked Ben if this locale provides unique opportunities for exploring electrical geology concepts.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It literally feels like I'm at ground zero for these supposed electric discharge phenomena that happened between the Earth and Mars, as we understand it. Now, I realize that the Earth has a couple different places on it that have, just striking features, but Utah is one of them. Now, I live in Utah Valley, and the Wasatch Mountain Range is to my east. I mean, I'm literally 5 minutes from it. I can walk to the mountains. Well, there is a canyon just like 10 miles away that was featured in Andy Hall's episodes. And he's take pictures of it and he talked about it. And I've always noticed it. It's startling because you have the mountain range that's basically smooth. And then all of a sudden there's this horrible jagged crack right there. And then the mountains get smooth again. And I've gotten out, I've taken pictures of it. I've actually hiked up this canyon. My father-in-law lives right at the base of it, right at the mouth of that canyon. And we've just explored it. And then seeing that Andy Hall thought it was significant as well, I finally went up there and climbed up there and have taken pictures. And I told you this before, but the rock cliffs up there, there's one of them that has a hairpin turn in it. Now, regardless of whether that was electrically made or lava made or whatever, it was something catastrophic and well worth, investigating. When I learned about these different features, I started looking at Google Earth in my local neighborhood, and everything that everybody talks about, these wind-driven triangular buttresses, I can see in my own backyard. It's amazing. I mean, just right here in Utah County, how Andy Hall describes triangular buttresses and supersonic winds is right here. I mean, I don't even have to go to Google Earth. I just could literally walk outside. So I've been pulling out my astronomy binoculars, looking at the mountains. We just got back from a family vacation down in southern Utah. We were 30 miles away from Canyonlands and a lot of the features that Andy Hall has talked about. And so this is what I did, and this is what I'm doing right now. In fact, I'm glad that I have this platform to talk, because I want people to send me rocks and soil samples from wherever they live, because I want to put them under my arc and see what they do. Because I just brought 2 samples back of rock that look very volcanic rock from southern Utah, and soil samples. And as soon as I'm done here talking to you, I'm going out and I'm putting them under the arc to see what they do. And of course, I'll film it and share it with everybody. I'm going to show you here what the arc does with baking soda. And you can see right here is that as I turn on the arc, this butterfly pattern just erupts. I mean, you can see that it comes down to a point, it creates a chevron here, and in the moment that I turn it on, you'll see the poof of dust going around it, which tells us that there are particles of the baking soda that are ionized. Not all of them, but enough of them are to where they're immediately expelled from the region. And if I do this just right, and if I position the electrode in just the right area, you will see that the arc will form. It'll strike the powder and create a little nodule, I guess is what I call it. But as the arc dissipates, or if I make the arc, if I bring it further away from the dust plate and just go back to the electric field effects, you'll see that that little nodule remains. It stays in place. And you can touch it, and of course you can smash it with your finger. It doesn't take much. But what's interesting is that it's like it's that instant petrification that we hear about, that Peter Jupp talked about. It literally looks like something like that is happening. It forms a little column, a little bead that holds itself in place, even though all the dust around it, as you can see, is flying away, is being excavated. Now, with this one is barium, or not barium, I'm sorry, barium also makes green in fireworks. This is boric acid. And as you can see, if we apply the arc to it, boric acid also burns green. But as you'll notice, it also can create these beautiful butterfly effects. And these are the same ones that we see in different places all over the planet. Andy Hall has pointed them out, very, very stark examples of them in southern Utah. People in the group have talked about the ones in Russia, but they're everywhere. And you can create them in the lab right here. The last one I have is just charcoal, which of course is just burned wood. It's carbon. And as you can see, as I turn it on, strike the arc, you get a big cloud of dust, of just excavating the dust. And then as we let the arc continue, it will form that familiar chevron shape or butterfly. It just depends on how long you leave the arc. If you leave it on for a few minutes, you'll get the full butterfly wings, as you can see. If you leave it on for just a couple seconds, you'll get the formation of the chevron, which you can see. So I'm not done. Those are just the 3 most interesting ones that I've found. And I'm going to do more. I'm going to use just regular dirt. I've got clay I'm going to use and try and create that effect that Wall Thornhill and Dr. Ransom created. But that's still up and coming. I don't have that done yet.
Given the significant differences between the electric universe and standard cosmology, we asked Ben for his thoughts on the best approach to introducing the subject to newcomers.
Well, there's 2 things that strike me. The last time I was in public talking about this, I said the following. I said, science is all about learning and progress. And if anyone ever tells you that we have decided and we've finally landed on it, you know that that's not science. And everyone, they know that. And so I start off my conversation with them and I tell them that. And then I say, our old knowledge is that comets were icy snowballs. But we have since sent out probes that have landed on comets, and they've taken pictures, and we've seen that they're not icy snowballs. And here's those pictures. So the icy snowball was the old thinking, from Fred Whipple in the 1950s. And the new knowledge that we're gaining is this. That's palpable. That's a spoonful of sugar right there. That's not saying that all science is wrong and scientists are stupid and they're egotistic maniacs that are just chasing the dollar. I was able to explain it like that, and the people responded, very well. It was palpable. And now the kids are actually a lot easier, because kids, especially at the age that I deal with, mostly, right around 10 years old, they are naturally curious. They have big questions. And I know this because I have 8 kids myself, and I've got 5 of them in that range right now. They ask me about, where did the universe come from? Just big, big questions. And it's not because their dad is really into science. It's because they themselves are interested. And so when I tell them that the things they're learning in school are stories, they are an explanation based on our best knowledge at the time, it's easy for them to say, oh, what else is there? And I say, well, here's what else is there. So kids, it's really easy to introduce them to this stuff because they're naturally curious. So you don't have to come up with clever, soft ways of telling it. You just answer their questions.
All right. So we that was the first one. Hold on, let me stop sharing this shit. Okay, so that was the first one, man. So comments, man, what y'all think? You know what I'm saying? Like that was Ben Hyde, I believe that was his name, Ben Hyde. And Ben Hyde basically was like shit. He came to a point in his knowledge of physics and quantum physics, particle physics, the same thing we did when we you know what I'm saying? We all came to that crossroad, you know what I'm saying? And all of this shit triggered off because of God is light. You know what I'm talking about? And
right.
Yeah, all of this shit triggered because of God is light, bro. And it's like the whole God is light concept took us over into the point that we at right now, which is studying plasma universe and the electric universe. You know what I'm saying? So this ain't like something that we came up with. Like, you know what I'm saying? I keep on trying to tell people, like, we're discovering this shit as we go. You see what I'm saying? It's not even like we got a manual or a doctrine for this. We don't. There's no deity. Like when y'all hear God is like, I know like y'all psycho reacted to the word God. You know what I'm saying? And when y'all hear the word God, y'all immediately think Judeo-Christian, Islamic, Brahma, like whatever religion that you hold fancy to. That's what you basically start. That's where your mind starts when you start thinking about God. You know what I'm saying? When I say God, I think of pure energy. I really don't think of a personified being. You know what I'm saying? I don't think of a personified being. I think of something that's beyond this fleshy existence. You know what I'm saying? And when I think of something that's beyond flesh, I think of energy, like lightning or light, or you know what I'm saying, something like that, lasers and shit. You know, something that's beyond the flesh. You know, because all those things would be beyond flesh. They vibrate on a much higher level and frequency than flesh. So, you know what I'm saying? If I was thinking in hierarchy when it comes to materials or things in the material, I would put energy or light-based things at the top of that list. You see what I'm saying? And then all the way down to, you know, just being flesh. You know, what is it? Being flesh and platonic solids and shit like that. You see what I'm saying? So this man basically giving y'all his testimony. His name's Ben Hyde again. You can go catch him wherever the fuck he at. You seen that shit on the video. Like I said, I don't know the man. I'm not pumping him up. I'm not saying like this is our master teacher or none of this shit. You know what I'm saying? We're experiencing the shit as we go. You know what I'm saying? And y'all watching our experience and our journey through this knowledge. Y'all watching it together with us. Y'all right here step in step with us as we learn. We showing y'all what we learn. You know what I'm saying? When we eliminate false ideologies out of you know what I'm saying, out of our way of thinking, y'all right there when we switch paradigms. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like we hiding or, you know what I'm saying, anything like that. You know, one of the things that the ancestors said was, I have not turned from truth. And so when I come into truth and I find some truth that's greater than the truth that I believed and held to at first, I have no choice but to adhere to the truth that is greater. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we came to this conclusion that the universe is not held together by gravity. I mean, I'm sorry. When you talk about gravity, you're talking about the weight of an object, the weight of two masses or more pressing up against each other. That's what gravity is. When two objects press up against each other, that's what gravity is. You see what I'm saying? But when you add an attractive force to gravity, it instantly becomes static electricity or electromagnetism or some shit like that.
That's all gravity is a static electricity. That's all it is.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, if you talk about gravity from an attractive force as an attractive force, then you're talking about static electricity or electromagnetism.
Because ain't the Earth spinning? They saying spinning like 1,000 miles per hour, right?
Right.
So that sounds like that's static electricity because you're gonna be stuck.
Right. Well, yeah, and then it's like the atmosphere is rubbing up against the what we call solar winds or the Birkeland currents. It's rubbing up against space. You see what I'm saying? And that stuff has a charge, and so it's constantly building charge, and you know what I'm saying? It's a constant give and take of charge. You know what I mean? So when you hear these people tell y'all some old goofy ass shit like gravity is what's keeping shit in place, gravity is causes planets and stars and galaxies to form, they're fucking lying to y'all. They're telling y'all some dumbass shit that they can't fucking prove in a fucking laboratory. They can't recreate that bullshit. If they could, these motherfuckers would be building gravity guns. They wouldn't chase you.
That kind of brings us to a point he brought out in the video about it should be scalable. You know what I'm saying? And if the science is correct, then it should be scalable on multiple different levels. You know what I'm saying? And not just the macro scale. It should be scalable on the micro scale as well. So that's an interesting point that I pulled out of that video. You know what I'm saying? Because we do hear that, well, we can't recreate this because on this scale, because of so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? When if the science was correct, it shouldn't be a problem or a hindrance just because it's on a smaller scale.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I'm gonna just try to build on what you just said right there, and try not to segue too much. But okay, like take for instance, nuclear, the process of the nuclear power, right? And you know that stuff like creates a a type of steam or a gas and all of that. I don't want to go too deep off into it, but when you do a simple process of electrolysis, when you put a metal plate in water, negative positive plate in water, and it separates hydrogen and oxygen from each other, and then you can use the gas, you can use the hydrogen gas to power shit or start a fire or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that is, I mean, irregardless of people want to believe it or not, that is a small scale nuclear process that's actually happening right there. It really is. Like I think it's a type of fission actually, if I'm not mistaken. Like that, like when because it's separating charge.
Yeah, right. It's separating the molecules.
Yeah, it's separating the molecules from each other. It's separating it's separating atoms from each other. Because hydrogen goes over here and then the oxygen goes over here. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, and that's on a micro scale, bro. You can build something like that in a fucking with a bottle of water, and just with some plates and some electrodes, some water, some salt. You know what I'm saying? And a battery. And you can create that same process that they doing in that nuclear power plant, but it's on a much smaller scale. That's how we know that nuclear power is a real thing. Because it can be scaled up and down. You feel what I'm saying? Here goes Mercedes, okay? Hey, how you doing, Mercedes?
What's up, Mercedes?
You can turn your camera off if you want it up.
Is it? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good. I was having trouble with my mic before, so.
Yeah, you can turn your camera off. You don't gotta have your camera on.
Is it on?
Well, I see a black box. There you go. It's off now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So you know what I mean? It's like we always throw this question up at them, like, if you believe in the Big Bang or if you believe in the standard model cosmology, what have you ever tested against that model to see if it actually stands up or hold up? Like, which one is more accurate? Have you ever done that? And every person I ask that question to, they always say no. They always say no. And I'm like, well, how the fuck do you know that that shit's real? Like, how do you know that that's just the actual truth? Or is that just some mythology, religious fanatic shit that somebody feeding us? Because it don't really make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole Big Bang idea, like none of that shit really fucking makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you that the universe is eternal. And the universe ain't never not been. It has always been. Your ass ain't always been here, but the universe has. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think there was a time that it never was. You see what I'm saying? That it never was not. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to understanding why we took this stance that God is light, is because we started answering electrical science, plasma science started to basically answer those questions that the same attributes that we attribute to God. Science started basically revealing those same attributes in nature. You see what I'm saying? And it's like if you can't learn true spirituality from the world around you, then it's fucking useless. You understand what I'm saying? All these crazy wacko whacks, you know what I'm saying? And it's like all of the original occultists were into natural things, the sun, the moon, the stars, the rocks, the herbs. Like they were all into those are real physical things. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, how can these highly spiritual people be so blind to the fact that physics, electrical science, plasma science is some of the most highly spiritual practice. Highly spiritual. I'm trying to think of the right word to use. What would you call it? It's because it's like I don't want to really call it a religion, but it's a more.
It is a practice. I would call it a
Yeah,
practice.
it's most definitely a practice. Like the practice of it is more pure.
Why don't you call it spiritual science?
Yeah, okay. Look, for the lack of a better word, spiritual science has a more concrete, relatable tone to it than mythical creatures and people doing like this weird superhuman, out of this world type of shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I understand like a lot of this stuff come from our ancestors, and I appreciate everything our ancestors done. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with appreciating the fact that your ancestors had a cosmology or had a belief system that was different than yours. It's okay. Like that shit's okay. You know what I'm saying? But we don't have to believe any of it. We don't. We do. We are not bound. We are not bound to believe that it's real. But we are bound to honor it and to cherish it because it is ours. It is something that is ours. So we should hold it dear, but at the same time, we shouldn't allow those superstitions to guide our logical way of thinking when it comes to the world around us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that our ancestors didn't know about electricity or electromagnetism, which I believe they did. And I honestly believe that they may have different names for these different phenomenon and might have personified those phenomenon in the guise of spirits and in the guise of deities and things of that, and intermediaries and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not. So I don't really blame them for that. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, we need to still hold that stuff dear, but at the same time, move on and progress, because if spirituality and technology don't go hand in hand, we're going to end up in the same condition our ancestors ended up in, which is pretty much dead. You understand what I'm saying? Which is pretty much dead, and it's like gone relics of the past. You understand what I'm saying? So, and I don't want to end up in that type of situation. So, that's the reason why we pushing this God is light thing, because it's time for an upgrade in our consciousness. It's time for upgrading your subconscious. It's time for upgrading everything that we do. It's time for an upgrade in our cultural values, what we hold dear amongst each other. Hold on, hey, y'all keep going, man. I gotta handle something real quick.
I mean, hey, just to build off what you just said, like I feel like in my life, if I had to start back over from scratch and I was just landing down here on Earth, the only symbol that I have to know that where I came from is the sun, and that's like basically the format of electricity, energy, and power. Like that's just like common law to me. I don't understand like why these religious freaks think like nothing of think like don't think that like it's just profound, bro. Like it's the sun. The sun is the being of light. Like I'm driving right now and the sun is beaming all like everywhere, damn near blinding me. But that's all
I did post a couple of. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry for interrupting. Carry on.
All right, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the gentleman from England and that, the back chat that's named after me, I just posted some things there. He's having a kind of a little giggle about what we're talking about. And I don't think he fully understands the whole concept of what electron actually means and the meaning behind it. So I did post some epitaphs of some Egyptian gods, that have the title, the Shining Ones, as well, in relation to the sun gods. So I've put that into the back chat for you as well.
Appreciate that, because I remember one thing you brought out, like leading up to one of my debates, you know what I'm saying, about the word electron as it was in relation to the translation of one of those papyries. And that stood out. So it tells me that this isn't a new concept that the
No, I
ancients.
think it's definitely not a new concept that they had this epitaph for sun gods, or I think Hathor, she's also called the Shining One as well, in relation to perhaps the moon. It doesn't really specify, but because she's not, but she was Heru's, had children with Heru and their children, which is you were doing the more from Anu, the priests of Anu, and I posted the translation of that. Now Eddie, which is Hathor's son, he is given the title Electron, meaning the Shining One.
Right, and she brought that to my attention. I was actually like, what? I was like, what? Like,
yeah, there's actually quite a few Egyptian gods and goddesses that have that as the Shining Ones. Yeah.
Yep. And again, like this is how we got on that path, because when you think about like God, what is God? But first, before you identify what is God, first you have to identify to yourself what is divine. What is the meaning of divinity? What is divinity? Like, because that's what God would be. God would be something divine, right? I mean,
yeah,
we can all agree that God would be divine, right? Mm-hmm. So when you go into the etymology, of divine, and I'll pull it up right here for us real quick, so we can all see it. Divine etymology. The etymology. Okay, I'm gonna go down.
Is it to see? What is divine? Yeah, like it's because we use divine as when we use tarot cards, we say we're divining the tarot cards, or when you divine for water using metal rods to find out where the water source is. So that's actually quite interesting, because that's picking up on the sort of the electron of water when you're divining using
Facts.
divining rods and stuff. Yeah,
Facts.
so it can.
So right here, I'm gonna blow it up so we can all see it.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so right here, we have divine, and we're gonna deal with specifically this definition right here, the adjective divine, and we can go into the other ones too, but we're gonna go with this one right here, the adjective, because it's an adjective. Whatever is divine is talking about an adjective. Until you get to talking about like a god or something, then whatever. But anyway, it says late 14th century pertaining to, of the nature of, or proceeding from God or a god, addressed to God, from Old French divine or devin, 12th century from and as y'all see, it's going back further. 12th century from Latin divinus, of God, from Davis or divas, of or belonging to God, inspired, prophetic, related to Deus, Deus, God, deity. Then it says from, it's saying all of that from Latin to French, all of that stuff comes from the Proto-Indo-European root. That's what pi means. It's right here. It says related to Deus, meaning divine is related to Deus, which is God, deity, and that's from Proto-Indo-European root. That's what pi means. And that Proto-Indo-European root is this word right here. Dayu. See that? Dayu. This Dayu word is the Proto-Indo-European root, means to what? Shine. It means to shine. It says in derivative of sky, heaven, and God.
That's fucking excellent. That's actually a very excellent example about what Anu has been trying to say to everyone for quite a while now. But
Yes,
that is actually a very good example.
This right here said it is a hypothetical source of evidence for its existence is provided by the Sanskrit deva, the word deva, meaning God, literally shining one. See that? Shining one.
Yeah.
Shining one. It says deva, by day. Estevan, deva, spirit, demon. Greek, delos. Latin, dies, as in days. Deus, God. In Welsh, what is it? Here it is in Welsh is dwi. In Britain is days. You see what I'm saying? So all of these are meaning God, but God, when you go back to the Proto-Indo-European root, which is the root of all of these different languages, means to shine. You see what I'm saying? It's dealing with the sky. It's dealing with heaven, talking about the shine. So this is the reason why I ask people, where did you think your ancestors got the concept of God from? You know what I'm saying? And so when I make them critically think, you have to go back to the fact that your ancestors got that concept from looking up in the sky and seeing the sun, seeing the light, and knowing that in the light they were safe. In the light it was warm. In the light the plants and the crops grew. So they recognize that God is giving life. You see what I'm saying? So light is always associated with life. Light is also always associated with consciousness, thinking. You see what I'm saying?
And it's also connected with protection too, the sun. Like
facts.
I mean, there's references to the Bible, the sun is is what? A shield?
Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm gonna pull up with something else too. So in your brain they have what they call I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna find it first. In the brain, you have what they call your neural synapses. Let me pull this up. Your neural synapses. I'm gonna just pull up a video of this. I'll tell y'all where you can go to see this. Here we go. This comes from. Okay, here we go. This right here. It comes from newsmedical.com. Check this out. So This is newsmedical.com. Check it out. This is newsmedical.com. Okay, this is your synapses. This is something like what your synapses look like, the pathways that your brain waves and your thoughts go through. You know what I'm saying? I just want y'all to pay attention to what you're looking at, see the shapes. Keep in mind that these pathways are the paths that your that chemical electric signal that goes to your body that gives you thoughts and give you signals to your body to create motion and stuff like that. This is what's happening all throughout your nervous system. All of this stuff is attached to your nervous system. All of this stuff is what drives your body, keep your body in motion. Now I'm gonna type in this galactic filaments. Check it out. Look at that. Look at that. I could click on any one of these from Wiki to US Today. I mean, I could go from any one of these different sources: Scientific Worldwide Community, Age of Time, Space.com, Conservation, Live Science, SciTech Daily. I mean, I could go to any one of these sources, and all of them saying the same thing, that the universe, what we know as a universe, is filled with these what they call galactic filaments. And as you see, these galactic filaments look exactly like the synapses that's going on in your head. You see what I'm saying? Because your body is a vehicle for an electromagnetic being to inhabit. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And the entire universe is filled with electric charge and energy. You know what I'm saying? So everything God is, you are made up of in a condensed lower form of it. You know what I'm saying? Your body's not complete energy. It's in this matter form, in this matter state. You know what I'm saying? And so, we can get off into here's a really interesting one right here. You know what I'm saying? Like they're able to map out these filaments, and it's like all of the planets, all of the solar systems and galaxies are within these filaments, and these filaments stretch billions and billions of light years across the universe and stuff like that. And so once you just start understanding the nature of the universe in relation to charge attraction, you see what I'm saying? When you start paying attention to how charge attraction causes the motion of things. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna find you this video here. Hold on. This is on YouTube. I'm gonna go to YouTube and we're gonna pull up knitting needle in space. Needles in space. Hey, what's up, Shana? Okay, right here, we're gonna tap on this. Check it out, y'all. This was the piece of evidence. This video is what convinced me. After I watched this video, I was convinced I didn't need to hear shit else.
Not that we have a lot of time.
So this particular video, this one of these astronauts took a pair of knitting needles up in space with him, and then he took a piece of paper and he rubbed the knitting needles to build up a static charge on the tip of the knitting needle. After that, he took a syringe and he started to drop water droplets around near the static field of that knitting needle. And when he did that, the most amazing thing started to happen. The water droplets started to rotate around the knitting needle the same way stars rotate around planets, the same way galaxies rotate in the universe. And that right there had nothing to do with gravity. Nothing, absolutely nothing to do with gravity. You understand what I'm saying? So it had everything to do with charge. So I'm going to hit play on this video so we can all see it happen in real time.
Okay, got it on. And what you're looking at is a knitting needle. And I happen to have in my crew preference a couple of knitting needles. And not that we have a lot of time to do knitting up here, but there's some other neat things you could do with them. And so watch this. So here I have a piece of paper, and I rub the knitting needle with a piece of paper. And this knitting needle is a polyethylene knitting needle. It's 8 millimeters in diameter. And now I'm going to take a syringe with a little Teflon cannula. I'm going to squirt drops of water out, and look what happens when those drops of water get close to that charged knitting needle.
No gravity
So
involved.
this is like a little satellite going around a cylindrical shaped planet. Except the physics here is a little bit different. It's not about gravitation. It's about charge forces. And of course, charges can exert a potential field, as we call it. So it can exert a force at a distance with no tangible connection. And so you have a charged drop that was ejected from the Teflon-tipped syringe. And then you have the charged knitting needle. And they're going to be attracted if they're opposite charges, but because the drop has some velocity to it, it's orbiting around the knitting needle. Now this knitting needle happens to be a little different than when we started out. This knitting needle is made out of Teflon, and Teflon has some really neat static charging properties when you rub it, and I figured it'd be good to have a Teflon knitting needle when you're on station. Now look at this droplet. It's orbiting around, and since we have cylindrical geometry here, it can precess down the cylinder, but then it gets to the end, and it reverses its direction and winds back along the cylinder. So it seems to be trapped. And here we have some little tiny droplets. They kind of remind me of flies on a picnic out in Houston. And these droplets, the bigger ones that you're seeing there, are about 6 to 7 millimeters. That Teflon rod is about 6.5 millimeters in diameter. And here you see a bunch of little tiny droplets, and they're making spirals, and they go down the cylinder for a while, and then they'll reverse their direction and spiral back. Now, if you look closely up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the injection nozzle from the syringe, but you also see that I have a second knitting needle, actually a third knitting needle. And that knitting needle is made out of nylon. And so you can rub the nylon, you can rub the Teflon, and there's some interesting charged properties that happen between Teflon and nylon, and I found that it's useful to have these when you want to put a charge on a droplet so it will orbit your knitting needle. There you can see the tip of the nylon knitting needle that I charged up with the same piece of paper type of rubbing. Now, this might also have some physics analogies to what happens with charged particles when they come down Earth's magnetic field. Again, the physics here is a little different, but the fact that you have charged solar particles spiraling down Earth's magnetic field, sometimes hitting different layers in the atmosphere, reflecting off and going back, spiraling back along the magnetic field line. And again, this is charge, but the behavior has analogous implications to what might be happening in our Earth's magnetic field with charged particles. And this, of course, is one of the key players to giving us our aurora. And of course, once you set up a knitting needle like this, you start to play with the water droplets. You just can't have too much video like this. It is so much fun to watch these little droplets, and notice as they get closer and closer to the knitting needle, their orbits go faster and faster. And the further away from the knit needle, the slower the orbit. The closer to the knit needle, the faster the orbit. And that's the same thing with the orbital mechanics when you have a satellite around a planet. And again, the physics is different. Satellites orbiting planets is gravitational potentials and gravitational forces. And this is static electric potentials and static electric forces. But
hey, look, did I see how what he's observing started to conflict with what he being taught? He immediately went back to the gravity shit. When
right.
Never seen gravity do a motherfucking thing. But right here in his face, he's watching the procession of planets. He's watching the procession of universes and solar systems. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Once I seen this video, bro, I was done. I was like, that motherfucker can't tell me shit. Motherfucker can't tell me shit, bro. And I'm like there, I don't know how you could see that, and it don't.
And he admitted himself that it had nothing to do with gravity.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But when he came back to talking about the planets and shit, he immediately went back to gravity. You know what I'm saying? When there ain't no gravity, nigga, you in space, motherfucker, and the Earth gravity ain't affecting none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you should be within the gravitational pull of the Earth, and that shit shouldn't be able to spin around that fucking knit needle like that. Like all the water and everything should be facing towards the Earth, because the Earth should be pulling on that shit. That's because gravity has absolutely nothing to do with the attractive force. Gravity has everything to do with the attractive force has everything to do with charge. You know what I'm saying? And the weight of an object, gravity is just the weight of an object pressing up against another object. That's all that is. You know what I'm saying? But like yeah. So I need some input, man. Like what you think? Night Star, cuz Third Eye. What you thought about that knit needle video?
Well, you know, I weld and stuff, so that basically what he's saying is like when he said it turns into a bead like that baking soda experiment.
Right.
Yeah, that I can't deny that. That's facts, bro. Cause I didn't experiment with that shit before with different, we got different type of shit at my job.
Right.
And he writing exact, man. I be playing around with that shit. So when he was doing them demonstration, I'm like, yeah. Like the colors and stuff, all that shit.
So what did you think about this knitting needle demonstration?
I had left off. I just came back in. I missed most of it, so I ain't really get
wouldn't that be the same principle that the experiment you did in the debate, right? With the curving of the water. I like to be that'll be the same principle, and it's something we could demonstrate. You know what I'm saying? It's something we could demonstrate on a scale, across scales. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see why more people don't at least open their mind to those possibilities.
What was that demonstration he was doing? Was that the mountains he was showing and stuff? What was he trying? Well, I missed that. What was he was trying to compare that to the mountains? I guess the same type of
yeah, he was saying like, okay, in that little mountain range, he's like, all the mountains over there are smooth until you get to this like one part, and then all of a sudden it's this rough, jagged, like beady fucking mountains with weird ass fucking shapes and shit in it. And he like, how the fuck did that shit form in the middle of this fucking these smooth ass mountains? And he's saying that the electric universe motherfuckers is basically saying that that it was a planetary arc, that there were plasma storms and huge lightning bolts striking the Earth, and Mars came too close to Earth one day, and it arced. and did a bunch of damage to the Earth and shit, and probably short-circuited Mars. And that's the reason why Mars is the way it is because Earth and Mars had a fight and Mars lost.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying? And this is the same shit that the ancient Greeks and all of them motherfuckers was saying about the reason why they was calling Mars the god of war. The planet Mars, the god of war, is because it was arcing all the damn time. It was arcing, getting close to other planets and shit, arcing. Came to the Earth and arc.
And what, they got pushed back or something?
I think what happened was because Earth is bigger. Because Earth is bigger and probably had a stronger magnetic charge, it zapped all the fucking pretty much the energy out that motherfucker.
So that's why they call it a dead planet.
Well, it ain't dead, but yeah, it knocked a lot of the charge out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's just, you know about that shit.
No, because that explains why it's got that rust like soil and shit. Like that orange reddish type of
yeah. You know, they give other reasons on why it's like that. I don't know if that shit real or not, but yeah, that whole demo, bro, is just like the electric universe, the electrical engineers and the plasma scientists, man, they got this, bro. I'll take an electrical engineer and the plasma scientist with me on a space exploration before I take one of these astrophysicists. I'm just being honest.
I mean, of course, that's a theory, though, right?
What's a theory?
That Mars possibly charged those mountains.
Yeah, it's a theory. Like I said, when you come into the plasma universe and the electric universe cosmology, that's what they saying. That's what they saying, and I'm tending to lean towards what they saying because it make more sense. There's huge caverns and shit. I mean, like let me show you this shit. You ever heard of Lichtenberg burnings?
No, I ain't never heard of that.
You'll know what I'm talking about once you see it. Let's show you this shit real quick. Okay, this is Lichtenberg burning, brother.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then I can't overstate how much value the lucid visual collaboration.
Hey guys, welcome back. So this video is a little bit different. About a year ago, I put out a video of the fractal burning, the Lichtenberg method of wood burning, and just showed how cool it looked. It wasn't an instructional video or anything. Recently, another YouTuber has started a witch hunt against these kinds of videos. Can this be dangerous? Absolutely. Should you try this at home? Probably not. But I've recently received a bunch of hate comments on that video. So I thought, in true defiant fashion, I would do another video. Again, this is not to tell you to go do this. If you are uncomfortable with electricity, don't mess with electricity. I'm not going to tell you to go change your breaker if you don't know how to do that, but there are instructional videos on that. So don't do this. Just don't do it. That's all I'm going to say, but I am going to show you how I did it, why what I did is safe, and the precautions that I took to hopefully mitigate some of these comments that are coming my way about how much danger I'm putting myself in and how I'm setting a bad example for others. So let's get right to it. This is my setup. This is a very simple setup. This is a neon light transformer. This is not a car battery. This is not a microwave transformer. It's 10 kilovolts of electricity, 30 milliamps, and it is dangerous. So we have two precautions in place. We have our primary power here. This is not plugged in currently. And then we have our foot switch. When this is depressed, nothing's going to happen if that's off. If that's on and plugged in and this is not depressed, there is no electricity running to the unit. The unit is also grounded. Okay, now I have it plugged in. I'm going to hit the first switch to the on position. Still no electricity. Nothing running. This is not hot. This is not live. When I hit the foot switch, that's when it's going to go live. You can see the distance I am away. There is no way I can reach out and touch that thing. No way I can bump something, have it tip over, or I'm going to catch it out of reaction. This is not a handheld device where you move the probes with your hands while there's electricity running. This is how people die. This is not what I'm doing. So I'm going to hit the button with my foot way over here, and there it goes. There is no possible way for me to get electrocuted. Standing here, I'm almost 4 feet away from this. That's not how electricity works. It's not going to just jump over and get me. I've let go of the foot switch. I've turned it off at the secondary switch. I'm going to move the probes one at a time. And I'm going to hit it again. Oh, did you see that? I hit it again with my foot. Nothing happened because I didn't switch the main switch on. Switching the main switch on, no power to it. Hit it with my foot. There it goes. Capiche? Good. Now people are getting mad at me because I make this look cool. It is cool. It's exciting. It makes a neat pattern. There are a lot of cool things in the world that you shouldn't do if you don't know what you're doing.
What that look like to y'all? What that look like?
It looked like electricity.
No, I'm talking about. But what does the pattern look like in the wood?
It look like rivers and canyons and shit.
Like it looks like rivers and canyons, bro.
Damn.
Look,
Yep.
look, check it out. Watch this. Watch this. Like, that's just what he doing, bro. It's deeper than that. Cause watch this. Look at that shit. Let me see. I'm gonna find out. Damn, he doing it on light. He doing it on glass.
They're known as Muffler Men, American giants. For decades, they've stood proud above.
Let's speed it up. Oh.
Not capture lightning in a glass bottle. He captures it in plexiglass, or better known as acrylic. When I first came across the video, what appeared to be slabs of glass being hit with a hammer and nail, injecting the glass with electricity to create an interesting lightning pattern. I thought, oh, that's cool, let's do a story on it. But I had no idea what was actually going on until it was explained to me. I asked Bert, the artist behind these amazing pieces of art, a series of questions in an email, and my first question was, can you explain exactly how this captured lightning works? When I read Bert's reply, I thought he was making a joke. He said, we use a high-power, high-voltage particle accelerator to inject trillions of electrons into pieces of plexiglass. Now that might be exactly how they make these captured lightning sculptures, but when you watch the original video, all you see is a piece of glass being hit with a hammer and nail. I thought for sure he was joking around. But trust me, the information I'm about to cover does not do it justice of how complex it really is. If you really want to read the science behind what is going on, I have put a link to their website below. But trust me, even though I'm about to start talking with scientific jargon, I have greatly abbreviated what is happening. Bert told me they use a 5 million volt electron accelerator to charge up the interior of the acrylic to millions of volts. The electrons pass through a thin titanium window and exit the accelerator traveling at 97 to 99% the speed of light. They then travel through 2 feet of air before striking the piece of acrylic below. As the electrons slam into the acrylic, X-ray fluorescence and radiation cause the acrylic to glow brilliantly. Speckles on the screen in this video footage are from high-energy X-rays passing through 18 inches of concrete and then striking the camera's image sensor. Because acrylic is an excellent electrical insulator, the injected electrons slow down, coming to a stop about halfway through, building up a layer of huge electrical charge of 1 million to 2.5 million volts. They then discharge the piece of acrylic by hitting it with a sharp metal point, like a nail. Once hit, the charge suddenly rushes out in a brilliant lightning-like flash. The charge's passage blasts thousands of permanent fractures and hollow tubes inside the acrylic, creating a fire.
Right, that one was done with glass, bro. That one was done with glass. And also, that's the same shape of your veins. That's the same shape that you see in plants, cellular structures. It's the same shit. Look at that.
Your whiteboard app is boxing you in. Step beyond the ideation phase with Lucid, the only visual collaboration platform that...
I'm gonna see if I can find one done in concrete. If I can find one in concrete available. But anyway, like that shit right here, man. This right here, it was.
This video is for documentation and education purposes only. Do not attempt to recreate anything you see in this video. I am what some folks occasionally refer to as a professional. If you make a mistake working with electricity, you will not get superpowers. You'll likely just get dead. All safety equipment on. Power on the device. Okay, well, you can see that my ground is not that terribly great.
You say what?
No.
Yeah, so mute your phone, Shane. Let me see where we at in this motherfucker.
Or a cup of water, baking soda mixture painted on the top of the board to assist in the flow of electricity. At least I believe that's what it's for. The mixture ratio is 1 cup of water to 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Recoated the board and moved the probes a little closer together, and we got a lot more dynamic result there. Now I'm just using some scrap board that I had. This is just pine. And again, I'm just doing this as demonstration purposes only, just to kind of make sure that this machine even works before I actually attempt to do anything really cool or make any really neat designs with it. But that's about it.
But that's
I got to say that I'm extremely happy that my little Lichtenberg machine even works in the first place, let alone can do cool things like that.
Let's see if I can find it right here.
What do you want? What a job that I don't hate.
This is Electric Universe Size, and today I'm in Las Vegas. Well, now I'm in Boulder City, and I'm driving by this giant solar panel array. Pretty awesome. That's not why I came here. I am actually driving to the Grand Canyon, South Rim. It's going to take about 4 hours to get there. So perhaps I will find some interesting sights along the way. But that's my goal, is to see the Grand Canyon. I was just a little boy last time I was there, so you can join me. See you there.
I thought he was going to actually show the top view down. The fuck? Shit, I ain't never seen this one. Hold on. No, look at the Thunderbolt.
Welcome to Space News from the Electric Universe, brought to you by the ThunderBolts Project at thunderbolts.info.
The American Southwest is an ideal testing ground for the hypotheses of electric universe geology. Geological textbooks tell us that the hallmark, breathtaking features of these desert regions formed through slow, erosional processes over eons of time. But laboratory experiments with electrical discharges have opened new theoretical pathways that inquirers in increasing numbers around the world are following. A remarkable contributor to the burgeoning field of EU geology is ThunderBolt's colleague Andrew Hall, whose articles and video presentations have explored new electrical interpretations of desert geology. In part one of his three-part presentation, Hall presents his detailed analysis of the stunning features in Canyonlands, a dramatic desert landscape in Utah, beginning with a discussion of the amazing formations called the Arches.
In summer of 2016, following the
I've
EU
been
conference
through all
in
that
Phoenix,
shit in
Arizona,
Utah from the first video
EU
to that
geology
one.
researchers visited Arches National Monument in the deep reaches of Canyonlands, Utah, where the Green and Colorado rivers channel through the Colorado Plateau. Arches National Monument is an astonishing place for anyone interested in EU geology. By conventional reckoning, the high desert plateau was carved into fantastical arches and hoodoos after millions of years of subtle water and wind erosion. To the EU researchers, however, it was evident the land was zapped, carved, and seared by electrical storms that could have happened last year. So fresh looked the marks of evidence. The Arches formation tells a story which explains one of the key phenomena that shaped the face of the planet. The phenomena is called sputtering discharge. So let's take a look at what that is. Sputtering discharge, as used in manufacturing, is a dark to glow mode current in plasma used to deposit thin films of material onto a substrate surface. It's analogous to electroplating or galvanic reaction in a fluid. An electric field accelerates positive ions in plasma to collide with the source material, which breaks molecular bonds, eroding the source material. This is what the term sputter refers to, breaking away of particles in the source material, which then drift in an electric field to coat the substrate. The source material is the cathode, and the substrate is the anode in the circuit. The material exchange is performed by electricity. Manufacturers often use magnetrons to shape and control the current and improve material transport efficiency with external magnetic fields.
What this does is to prove once again how that symbol of a pyramid
fields. The point, however, is that high voltage, low current in a plasma will erode or etch away a cathodic surface and plate itself in layers on the anodic surface. This is a process that shaped Canyonlands. To fully understand these canyons, however, first we must understand domes. Because the canyons are carved from a dome, the entire Colorado Plateau is a dome, or rather a series of domes overlaying each other. The domes are composed of sedimentary layers of limestone and sandstone. The layers are stacked, for the most part, evenly and flat, like a layer cake. The basic layer cake structure is capped with the Rocky Mountains on the east and carved into canyons on the west, while it's shot through with the Lichtenberg pattern, vertically cut gorges of the Colorado and Green rivers. The dome structure of the plateau and the canyons carved through it is primarily the result of natural sputtering discharge process created during an intense electrical storms. Of course, in this case, we're speaking about storms created in a past environment when Earth's electric field was amplified to the point the entire atmosphere was ionized. Imagine the atmosphere stirred into a maelstrom, lit with streamers of glowing plasma, where lightning crackled, not only in the sky, but across the land, and mountaintops glowed with coronal fire under swirling clouds of dusty plasma.
What?
It would have been surreal, a place where streams of wind became electric currents, where high and low pressure zones acted like battery terminals, and mountaintops became electrodes drawing machine gun lightning from the sky.
Damn.
Anything standing in the wind would have hissed and snapped with coronal fire. Dust in the air would have acted strange too, as the energy of free electrons collided and overpowered weaker atomic bonds, ionizing matter, causing it to act like a ferrofluid under the influence of a magnet. Ionic species segregated, forming unipolar winds that tore past each other in opposite directions, creating shear zones of intense electrical discharge and vortex winds of supersonic speed. The inside of Earth would have been in turmoil as well. Hot magma spewing from volcanic vents, aquifers boiling, explosive eruptions of steam from deep underground, pocking the landscape with holes. Even arcs would erupt, lightning from the ground, caused by buried pockets of charge where minerals and water ionized. The winds, dust-laden and electric, deposited the Colorado Plateau, plating a cake across the western half of North America in the same way semiconductor manufacturers layer circuitry onto silica wafers. The stratified layers are interspersed with magma flows, petrified forests, inland seas, and dinosaur boneyards of different ages that indicate it formed in a series of events that likely recurred over millions of years. To create the canyon lands, the voltage potential had to reverse and eat away at landscape newly laid down by the storm. Under the electric field of an electrical storm, the surface of the earth becomes positively charged. It becomes the anode in the circuit where lightning strikes from the negative cloud base and where rain falls. In primordial ionic storms like those that form the plateau, rain did not fall, but silica did, as dust in the air fell and adhered in layers to the dome. Inland seas or layers washed over by tsunami, generated by the storm itself, became covered over with more layers of dry overburden as the storm progressed. This left a moist layer like icing in the center of the layer cake. This icing layer then ionized under intense bombardment from sputtering discharge in the eye of the storm and created what is known as barrier discharge in the moist layer beneath the ground. Which brings us back to Arches National Monument, proof that canyons were carved by sputtering discharge, aided by barrier discharge in a moist layer of the big cake. This image tells most of the story. A band of rock looks tortured and fluid, as if it were boiled mud when it's solidified, sandwiched between smooth, more or less even layers of stone. The canyon floor is flat, which is surprising if one accepts the consensus view that canyons were made by water erosion. Water erosion leaves deep channels and V-cut valleys, not flat floors. This closer image shows the fluidity of the layers. At the top, the overburden rock barely sinks into the sagging layer beneath it that turned plastic because it was still solid. The plastic layer beneath sagged, but didn't compress and maintained a consistent thickness. Below that, on the bottom, the boiled mud layer fluidized completely and squeezed like toothpaste. What turned this bottom layer fluid and caused it to sag beneath a solid overburden was electric current, a barrier discharge current, where no gaseous atmosphere was present to ionize into plasma, but instead the moisture and minerals in the layer ionized, generating a subsurface current. The moist layer ionized and charged species pooled into a plasma-like mud the electric field wanted to lift away. The electric currents boiled the moist layer, and it began to foam and arc into the drier and electrically resistant overburden. When sputtering removed the surrounding overburden, pressure released and vapors expanded, making gas bubbles that raised the arches. Hardened pinnacles formed where mud boiled up and convective blossoms of hot ionization.
Damn.
One can see how the moist layer boiled and heaved, while currents arched and thrust upward, trying to break through the overburdened rock. But in this area, it was unsuccessful. The traces of barrier discharge remain in the rock. The empty flat canyon floor, where the overburden and moist layer were carried away, is where the discharge broke through to complete the circuit. Arches is a display of etching, or electric discharge machining, EDM, stopped in process. The wet layer was boiling off due to the current in it and lifting away with the overburden when the process stopped, leaving these arches and hoodoos. It likely stopped when the sputtering glow current suddenly jumped to arc mode and lightning struck, dissipating the charge built up in the wet boiled mud layer. Sputtering discharge is typically used in manufacturing to remove only micrometers of material. The ion bombardment on the surface of cathode material only shallowly penetrates to break atomic or molecular bonds and release particles. So how could such a process remove hundreds of feet of solid sandstone? Well, one reason is the strength of the electric field at work on the charged species. In the primordial storm we are discussing, the electric field would have been billions, perhaps trillions of volts. The electromotive force of such a field applied to any large pool of charged species could lift a mountain. And the other reason is diffusion of charge through 1,000 feet of dry sandstone overburden to ionize the wet layer. The section of the dome overlaying the wet layer acted as a solid-state semiconductor, coherent with the intense electric field. Charge diffused through the silica layers in a manner to be discussed in more detail in part 2 of this article. But solid-state electronics are the way to evaluate how charge diffused through the landscape. The wet ionized layer then underwent a process called heat spike sputtering. Heat spike sputtering occurs when diffusing ionization causes secondary reactions. The secondary reactions occur in the wet layer, which is highly conductive and volatile. Currents heated the material, and that caused thermal liquefaction, melting, and steam microexplosions. In canyonlands, when the wet layer ionized, it induced currents which heat spiked, discharging from the wet layer to the layer above. The arches and bubble-like pinnacles in Arches National Monument were created by heat spike sputtering and bubbles of microexplosions as the boiled mud layer ionized, vaporized, and discharged into the overburden. This short film, produced by Diefly Fish on YouTube, helps visualize the process of diffusion through rock and the process of barrier discharge that caused the boiled mud layer to boil. In it, Jim Hammond, the creator of Diefly Fish, and an EU contributor, employs a high-voltage Tesla circuit to generate current through a granite block. There are two things to note as you watch the film. First, note how the flow of electricity diffuses through the entire granite block. Instead of channeling directly below the electrode in a narrow stream, like an arc, it flows out the full footprint of the crystalline granite block. The external electric field of the circuit is diffusing charge through the granite as it would in a solid-state body. In the tense electric field surrounding the eye of the hyperstorm that etched the canyons, currents also diffuse through the dome matrix in this way, ultimately ripping out mountains of earth in the blink of an eye as currents boiled and liquefied the wet matrix below, similar to the plasma tornadoes that are swirling in the gaps between the electrodes and granite in the film. Second, note the plasma tornadoes that bridge the gap between the block and electrode. They are not in bright arc mode, but are filaments in glow mode. The plasma tornado currents are in the air gap where the air has ionized to plasma. In the arches, there was no air gap between the ionizing wet layer and the overburden, so the discharge was a barrier discharge coming from the boiled mud. The currents flowed around the boiling, bubbling, foaming heat spikes to fuse and harden the less conductive overburden in its pattern of arches and pinnacles. Jim's experiment demonstrates how current diffuses through granite, which demonstrates how ground currents can diffuse in natural rock. Watch towards the end of the clip. Arcing begins in hot spots to eat through the granite, collecting the current into single arcing paths and starving the diffusion currents around them. There are many other evidences of sputtering discharge in the Utah canyon lands. In part 2 of Sputtering Canyons, we'll examine some more. Thank you.
All right, man. And we need some input on that, man. We need some
Can you hear me,
input,
Anu?
man.
Can you hear me, Anu? Can you hear me?
Brother, we hear you. Yeah, we hear
Yeah,
you.
because I'm real familiar with Andy Hall's work, but yeah, y'all can go ahead and stuff. I can chime in. I just got off work. I just hit you up and I seen you sent that thing.
Oh yeah, shit, bro. Like I said, a lot of us, this is our first time even reviewing any of this stuff. So if you know more about it, I would love for you to take the wheel.
Well, no, just he has a whole series of videos with the geology, because it all goes hand in hand.
Uh-huh.
And me personally, because my friend, his name is Robert Hawthorne. He used to live in Pittsburgh, but long story short, he lives in Utah now. But he's written and published several papers on the subject, because that's like his like niche in the electric universe. But Andy Hall's work is like really something we should take a look at and like really sit down and scratch our heads and say, okay, well, now look at what we just saw, and kind of make comments about it. I mean, I can picture it this way. Let me say it to you this way. So if our entire atmosphere, and I'm talking about the whole magnetic field around the planet, and including especially the upper atmosphere, if you have an influx of charged particles flowing into our Earth system, there's going to be problems. If indeed our magnetosphere, we'll just use that term for now, becomes overcharged, it's going to affect every aspect of the weather. So then when we see like a tornado or a hurricane, you have to imagine scaling it up like 100 times greater than what we're used to seeing. So not only do you have the charge on the ground, but you have the charge in the atmosphere. You have the charge within the funnels, like tornado funnels. You're going to have supersonic speed winds. It will rip through the terrain of the planet like it ain't nothing. It would take, like, picture a hurricane, picture a tornado. It will pull animals with it. It will pull material with it. Which is why it seems like when they do the geological tests, you have materials in different parts of the planet. I think it's like Greenland or Iceland. I'm sorry, Iceland has material that is the same material that's in I want to say Siberia. They did they use electron microscopes when they did the ice core samples, and you see the same materials in different places of the world where it really shouldn't be there. So you just have to kind of picture that the weather being scaled up beyond like anything we could have really imagine. So the storms would like NASA uses terms like geomagnetic storms. Okay, cool, it's a geomagnetic storm, but what does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? It's as if there's so much charge in the atmosphere, it has to go somewhere. If you're getting that kind of influx of solar winds or Berkeley currents, we'll call it that, you're going to have problems. Did you now? Was that video? Did he show the mountain buttresses, the triangular mountain buttresses in that video? Did you see it at all? Was it in that video? Hold up, can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, like so there. I don't know if the mountain buttress. That's the video that had the triangular mountain buttresses in it.
We watched a different video with Ben Hyde and for just a little bit of that.
Benjamin Hyde.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just fucking got his hands on somebody's equipment.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, he just got somebody's equipment and was like, "Yo, man." I mean, that's my homie Robert's boy. They like live like real close to each other. But you see, though, they're doing the experiments, and the experiments are scaled. I mean, and that's what I was trying to tell people in the final battle, going back to even like 2015-ish, you can scale electrical experiments. They're easily scalable. So all you're doing is an experiment that it's not radioactive, number one, at a lower scale than it would be if it was like in real life.
Right. Yeah.
And what I'm seeing in the videos is like matching what we're seeing in the geological features.
Yeah,
So
and that's like I said, that's one of the things that really was convincing to me with a Thunderbolt Project and Electric Universe. That, you know, I mean, it's one thing to put up a bunch of mathematical equations, you know what I'm saying, to put up a bunch of fluffy ass intellectual language, but when you do some hands-on shit,
yeah,
and you're able to display the same geological phenomenon that we're actually seeing in real life with our own eyes, that's very, very convincing. That's more convincing than a math equation.
Right, because I remember being there in Canyonlands, Utah, thinking, man, this shit look cold. That, you know, the explanation of water erosion just didn't make sense. Looking at that shit, you know what I'm saying?
That's how me and Yashar got into it a couple months ago, because I said it looks like the Grand Canyon features are you can see Lichtenberg lines. You can see it if you just look at it. Then I showed the video, and in the experiment, he thought they were shaking the table, and it's like, no, those are that's electricity coming through those rods, and it's causing a vibration, shaking the whole thing. But shit, I'm looking at it too. Y'all seeing the same thing I'm seeing. I know I ain't fucking tripping. No, y'all ain't tripping. Y'all looking at it, and it looks like they got their shit together. It looks like they really know what they're talking about because they can show us.
Yeah,
They can show us the demonstration.
And that was my whole thing. Is like, the Thunderbolts Project is putting up evidence. Like, you can say what you want. They're putting up the evidence. They're putting up the physical evidence. They're putting up experiments. I mean, they keep saying, "Oh, well, they're not published. They're not peer reviewed." Yes, the fuck they are. Stop it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that are.
But
Stop.
one thing they can't say, I mean, it's definitely observable, and that should be what science is all about, observation. It's like they're putting up observable, tangible demonstrations, you know what I'm saying, that make sense. So I don't get it.
I mean, and then peer review is all confusing too, because really the peer review process is mainly for editing. You're mainly making sure the papers are edited properly and everything lines up in terms of how you use your sources. Everything is cited correctly. Peer review is really never for the consensus to say it's peer reviewed. So that means that there's this fucking huge board of people across the world that all agree on it. You kind of get where I'm coming from. I mean, it does work that way, but it really not supposed to work that way.
Okay,
but science is not moving forward. It's not. It's so most of this stuff that y'all are starting to watch, the mainstream science community rejects the ideas because it is outside of their paradigm. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If this is correct, then that means everything we've been looking at and how we've been formulating things for a long time is going to be wrong. Well, that's their fault. It ain't my fault. I don't have no skin in the game. Neither do y'all. We don't have no skin in the game. We just want to know. I'm not a scientist. I don't have no money involved. I'm not getting no grant money. So I don't really give a shit. It's like, what is true, what is not true. That's all I want. I don't want to know.
One of the things that people got to understand about all of us. We're not getting paid to do this shit, bro. We don't. There's no agenda behind us outside of the flow of information.
No. But again, like I said, it's really compelling. Andy Hall's videos, he's made a bunch. And besides the fact we don't know where he is, nobody's heard from him. I haven't heard from him. I haven't seen him pop up in any groups. Nobody knows what to deal with him because he hasn't put out anything in a long time.
Andrew Hall, the same guy that just was on here?
Yeah, we don't know. We haven't heard from him.
Don't tell me they got him, bro.
No, I don't know. We just haven't heard from him. We don't know. We don't know where the fuck.
That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
I mean, they trying to track him down and stuff, and I don't know, man. Like,
damn. Damn, man.
Benjamin Hyde, none of them dudes can get in touch with him. I was like, I don't know.
You what? You know what you know what that means usually in our community.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I told them though. I told Thornhill and all them down the line. I said, if black people get a hold of this and really wrap their heads around it, it would become more popular than it is right now. Because black folks, we have a tendency, once we catch on to some shit, we start talking about it, we start sharing it, we start spreading the news and stuff. I was like, if it hits the black community, it's gonna start to even blow up more than it is. I mean, because I was like, shit, I'm not a scientist. So there's one guy named Dr. Edward Dowdy. He's black, but he died a couple of years ago. There's some black dudes in the group. There's different people with different ethnic backgrounds. But when I hooked up with them dudes, I was like the first nigga from like the hip hop generation. And they were like, what the fuck? So, they like quizzed me a lot, asked me a lot of questions. They asked me questions, in terms of my background, where I went to school, how I was raised and shit. And then about the information, they were like, okay, well, it's obvious this nigga here reads a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, this motherfucker reads shit. And he got his head wrapped around it. So that's when I said the publisher of the books, Michael Armstrong, put me D, but he's not in the group no more. Like, his email got jacked up, so I got to ask them to re-add him so he can add more people. I don't have the capability of adding people to the email group. I can't do it. So I have to tell somebody like Dave Talbot's son that his email is different, and he has to be re-added to the group because he's the one that can add people to the group. I can't do it.
Yeah, man. Let them know, man. Like it's a whole group of us that's trying to get in, man. We trying to learn more.
Yeah.
We trying, bro. And
yeah, and they're easy. They're easygoing people, and they really embrace, people that come to the table. Pretty much, they embrace people. All walks.
Like
like, hey, yeah.
Come to the table. We not experts, none of that shit, but they got our motherfucking attention.
Yeah, they got my attention years ago, and I've told the personal testimony how I came across it. And what happened to me first was like, okay, I got cousins and stuff, man. The Gab knows New Wapians. They're former New Wapians. My one cousin, he's a what they call them niggas now? They don't even call themselves New Wapians right now.
The Bayesians now.
Yeah. So what I was telling them was when I first started getting in it, I was like, in Dr. York's Holy Tablets, he talked about this right from the very beginning, but he disguised the shit. He disguised it and he pseudoed it. And I was like, if you read the Holy Tablets right from the very beginning, he says the most powerful gases in the universe are the noble gases. And he put down the plasmas, on a periodic table, but he made up a negative exponent, which I didn't understand. And he still talked about those gases being the most powerful gases in existence. And that these are the gases of creation and all this other stuff. But I was like, damn, if you take the fucking spin off of it that he put on it, it's fucking ThunderBolt Project. If you take that spooky spin off it, these people are onto something. So then they start to reject it right away. Like my one cousin, he's not as bad, but some of my other peoples, they was like, nah, man, I'm not interested in that. I'm like, well, why? Because if Dr. York is talking about how science is one of the keys, well, then we need to know what the fuck is really good then. We need to know what we can sink our teeth into, basically, that can clear some shit up for us. And it kind of was like, well, why isn't this popular? Why isn't the whole world catching on? And I used it, it's a simple word, denial. That's why. You know how hard it is for educated people that got skin in the game to hear this stuff and look at this stuff? The battles are worse than y'all think. It's really bad. I mean, I have some documentation that shows how they got rejected for having a Wikipedia page. Electric Universe doesn't have a Wikipedia page; they're censored. So they have all the records of how there was like a almost like a public trial going on, and it was all about Comet Temple 1. And these motherfuckers was arguing back and forth, doing everything except cussing each other out. They were talking shit on each other, ad hominems all over the place. And at the end of the day, when I read it, I was like, okay, with Thornhill, when he comes on, I want him to talk about this because we're looking at the same shit, but the mainstream is gotta be delusional. I'm looking at the same fucking thing as they're looking at. I looked at your predictions. I looked at your video on it. And I looked at their explanation on it, and it looks like they're 100% fucking wrong. And they're not going to admit that they're wrong. They're going to fight nail and tooth to the bitter end. Even if they know they're wrong, they're still going to defend it. And it's like, that's when it becomes to me a sickness. Now,
you got to let
it's really, it's that serious.
One, we like messy dramas. You gotta let them know
that.
We like messy dramas, and they need to come and tell their story, bro. Because once we hear it, and I know a lot of us in the conscious community, once we hear this shit and see that, like, it's not just happening to conscious, quote unquote, black nationalist conscious people. It's actually happening to anybody who's going against the system of things. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And anybody that's going against status quo is getting blackballed and getting shut down and getting silenced.
Yeah.
And we have to blow the
Absolutely.
whistle, not just on racial issues, on scientific and intellectual issues as well. Because that's one of the ways that they are attacking us and destroying us is through psychological warfare, keeping us tap dancing, worrying about fashion and social interactions and shit like that. That's basically how they keep us distracted from thinking in higher forms.
Johnny Walker double black.
Like when we talk about physics.
See that little bottle, right?
You know what I'm saying? So
sorry, guys.
That's what I'm trying to get to, bro. Like, so we most definitely need Thornhill. We need Hill. We need Hall. We need all of them, brother. Come to the table. Even if you got to create a new Facebook group and just drop their ass in it, drop us in it. We need to know. We need to hear from their mouth so we can blow the whistle on this shit, bro. Because, like I said, I remember you constantly talking about this shit a year or two ago, and we just now starting to look at it, and I'm like, wow, like this dude.
Well, I told my man, the publisher, he's in his 80s, the guy that published their books, and I told him the same thing. I said it just takes a little bit of time, but I was like, y'all starting to really look at this shit for real.
Yeah.
And I said I just kept dropping the jewels, and I don't expect because it's like this. You can't convince a person; they got to convince themselves. So you just got to put it out sometime and let it marinate. But we know how our people are. They like to argue. Do you want to argue? We can argue. And like I said, if you ain't looking for it, you know, that means that you're not necessarily. Hold on a second. God damn it. Not to say that you will never find it or understand it or anything like that. No, but if you're just completely settled on, like Dennis is completely settled right now on mainstream science. Whatever they say to him is go. Okay, cool. I may have been like that at a point in time in my life too.
Me too, bro. Like I mean, shit.
Right.
Just a year ago.
As long as you like that, you're not gonna find nothing outside of that because that's all you're gonna be looking for and searching for.
Yep. So again, bro, like I said, man, just let them know. Everybody at Thunderbolt Project, Electric Universe, we hear them, we see them. We just need more access to them so we can start interviewing them ourselves without them getting heckled or thought up. You know what I'm saying? Thought as pseudos. We're embracing the fucking shit out of it. We're embracing it. So bring that on, because we ready to pull out the signal fires. We ready to start signal fires, bro, and let it be known all across the world. You know what I'm saying? Because the more we talk about it, the bigger it's gonna get. Like you know what I'm saying? Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard is another person who basically is starting to go down this little drift. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying maybe they need to get this into in his hands. You know.
Well, he already has.
Right. But I'm saying, like, yeah.
And I haven't heard from him because, all right, he was cool with my friend named Buddy James, right? And I've been on Skype calls with Terrence and all that shit. And he gave me the second edited version of his book.
Your phone went you like real low now, bro. We could barely hear you. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still there. We barely can hear you. Your phone went real low.
Stop. Wait, stop. Where'd it go? I was trying to do something with that. What? It was gliding on the ground. Here it is.
Damn, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
You don't have to wait for a second. What's doing is keep jumping back to my truck's Bluetooth, but something's wrong with the microphone in this motherfucker, man. So I'll be pulling up to my crib in like 30 seconds.
All right. Well, like I said, man, we just if we can, especially if we can get them on information age, you know what I'm saying, and then get them exposed to the community. Because Sister Ivory, shout out to Information Age, one of our main information depots that we use out here. You know what I'm saying? That we need to get them on her platform so we can introduce them to the rest of the community. You know what I'm saying? And so they can start blowing the whistle on it. You know what I'm saying? And just let them know like they could take their hats off and talk normal. Like you ain't got to worry about nobody judging you over here. You see what I'm saying? And we want you to be as raw and brutal with it as possible. Tell us the names. Give us names. We want to know the culprits. We want to know the assholes that's blackballing you. We want to know. You see what I'm saying? And we're gonna go after their ass. You know, you will see us beating down their doors and what they call it, torching, pickforking their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Like
you gonna see us turn the fire up on them.
Hold on, I'm opening my fucking door.
You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, imagine when you got the whole conscious community gunning at these motherfuckers niggas for suppressing the information. I mean, like we was just talking about Maxwell Chuku. I can't pronounce his name. He's the inventor down there in South Africa, brother, who created the microsonic technology, being able to power cars and stuff with like radio power, microsonic generators and like TVs and devices and shit like that don't need to be plugged up in the wall. They generate their own energy and shit like that. So he's a very good. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna just pull him up right here so we can all see it. Because I want people to really realize this. Like this is a real serious thing. This isn't a conspiracy theory thing.
Right.
Yeah, and they try to write it off as that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, damn. Like, so one of the main trolls, his name is Professor Dave. He's a white dude, and he decided he's not even a professor, but he has a very popular YouTube channel. He's one of the trolls that started bad mouthing the stuff, but he took another road to where he's gonna use what's called reputation derogation. So he's going to degrade them and try to stomp on their reputation as men. He took it to another level, saying they're shysters, they're criminals basically, snake oil salesmen. And I was like, if Walt Thornhill and them dudes was my family, I'll fuck you up. Like Professor Dave, you just get beat the fuck up. What's that?
Yeah, sound like they go through the same stuff we go through in the back chat.
Yeah, and it's like it's. But then Walt Thornhill told me he ignores that shit. And I'm like, okay, you can ignore it and not want to deal with it, and I get it. I mean, they've been through it before, so they just say they call them pseudo skeptics. You don't have time for pseudo skeptics, and I was like, I understand that, but I do. You know what I'm saying? I do. I got time. I ain't got number time for shit like that. But it's the same shit. So make it worse. Okay, so the full story is they attacked Emmanuel Velikovsky. He's the main person. He's the one that brought up this electromagnetic stuff in 1950 and was like, you guys are ignoring it in the mainstream totally. And he came down on Newton and he came down on He came down on Darwin also. He said, if you think you're sacred, he called him sacrosanct. If you think you're sacrosanct, you got something else, you got another thing coming to you. You know what I'm saying? So when he dropped it, it was Macmillan that published the book. Now, I knew who Macmillan is. Macmillan is the largest technical publisher in this country. They published the school books I was using in the 70s and 80s. So Macmillan published it. And so the education system was well aware of his book. So Macmillan, before the book came out, they wrote like 4,000 papers against him. It never even read the book. 4,000 papers. So when the book was released, the science community as a whole threatened to not publish their school books and textbooks through Macmillan and boycott Macmillan if they didn't pull the book.
Right.
So Macmillan didn't pull the book. What they did was they sold it to another publisher, and it was still on the best-selling list moving forward. Then he wrote like 4 more books, but from 1950 till he died in 1979, they attacked him. The science community, including bitch-ass fucking Carl Sagan, they attacked him and attacked his character like you have no idea. So you can't even watch these videos. These were backdoor debates. They were backdoor debates. And it would be like 5-on-1 and 6-on-1. He wasn't allowed to bring no scientists. He wasn't allowed to bring his squad at all. So they were interrogating him, and they were just pretty much defaming him is what it was. So you can read about it in the books, though, because I have the book, Carl Sagan versus Immanuel Velikovsky. I read that shit, and I was like, Carl Sagan deserved the ass whooping. And then he apologized later and said, we shouldn't have done something like that. You know, even though we don't believe it, we should have never attacked a fellow colleague the way we did, and it was wrong. It was too late now.
Yeah,
you did it. You did it till he died. You did it till the day he died.
Is there any way to like to request a Freedom of Information Act or some shit on that? Like for us to get that footage? Like we want to see that shit.
Oh, I don't know, man. We don't even know where it is. It's in book form. They wrote about this stuff in books. Like, so I have the book Carl Sagan versus Immanuel Velikovsky. I have the book, but it's like, so I have to read the debate in the fucking book and I can't see it with my own 2 eyes. No, it was some real grimy. It was grimy as fuck because they wanted to try. Because so the science community, what these guys like Thornhill and them will say, they did win against Velikovsky because they kept it suppressed. They kept it to where it would lose momentum and kept it suppressed. So they picked up the ball and then they kept it moving. And the same thing happened to them. And it has to do with Dr. Anthony Peratt. It's the same story where he was warned. There's a guy named Leroy Ellenberger. He was a fucking Benedict Arnold. And he dropped dime somehow in the science community that there was 4 major scientists, one of them being Dr. Tony Peratt. They were going to a conference. And they were warned in writing that if they attended that conference, that the hammer was going to come down on their fucking necks. And the blades was coming after them. So they said, fuck it. Like 2 of them went, and I think a couple of them didn't go, but Peratt's, they threatened his career over this shit. They threatened his career. They first thing they did was cut him off from grant money, and then he had a massive heart attack. Then what the guys told me is when he came back from his quadruple bypass, he was like, fuck these guys. He got mad at them. He got mad at them guys, and then he pulled back. But the ThunderBolt Project has the rights to use his material because you have to get permission from the IEEE, it's called, International Electrical and Electronics Engineers. To cite his work, you have to get permission to do it. So they have the rights to publish his work because the rule is you cannot alter the work in any way, shape, or form to fit maybe into the way you're trying to see it. But they didn't do that. They still have the rights to do it. And it's almost like a band member in a band got disgruntled. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm the lead singer. I think I should be the lead singer. I should get paid more. But anyway, they came after Peratt's throat. Now, when you go to Plasma Universe, which is his site, he'll say he doesn't associate with Holoscience, which is Walt Thornhill. They used to be best friends. Now they don't talk no more, but Thunderbolt still uses his work. So, you know, it's real personal, man, and the shit gets real grimy. But Peratt's work still stands. It still stands.
Shit that we most definitely need in the back chat. We most definitely need to get our slimy ass fucking hands on that ass piece of drama, because it ain't no real drama until you get some niggas involved.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and when we get in there, we're gonna exaggerate and blow that shit the fuck up for real, man. We're gonna blow top off that shit. So I just want to make it known out there, like, yeah, this ain't no conspiracy theory shit. This stuff is really happening out here. They really are blackballing people. This right here is a inventor from Zimbabwe. His name is Maxwell Chikumbutso, and I'm gonna play a bit of this, and you will see what I'm talking about. But we need to get behind this brother, and we need to protect him. We had him in Naga at one point in time, but all the nigga shit that was going on in there, he didn't like that. And the last time I talked to him, he was sick, and I have not been able to talk to him since then, since he took them corona shots. So I haven't talked to him since then, and I've
what does he talk about before you play? What's his?
He's actually an inventor that created a car that runs off electrical that runs off radio frequency. He has a couple of other applications dealing with microsonic technology. He's also created a bunch of different green energy perpetual machine type devices that they won't let him put into commercial use, because you know once you hook that shit up, you don't need them no more. So you know what I'm saying? They can't make no money off of it. They can't make no money off of it if you could hook this machine up to your house and don't never got to plug into the grid no more. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he's a brilliant scientist. He dropped out of school at like 14 or something like that. I can't remember the actual age or grade, but he dropped out early, started his own electrical company. He did all this stuff from his own, from his own. And he said that God gave him the designs and the wisdom to do the shit. So it goes with the whole God is light concept. You know what I'm saying? Just the flow of information, how they suppressing this information. To me, it goes hand in hand with the plasma universe, electric universe. Here go another genius that has been blessed to the world, and he's being suppressed. He's being suppressed, but I'm gonna play it.
Back of the TV, no matter the size, and you're able to use the TV anywhere in the world. You don't need to be plugged into to a power grid. You don't need to be plugged into a solar energy power, but it runs itself using radio frequency. And for those who've done enough research, you understand what Nikola Tesla was working on when it comes to being able to harness power using radio frequencies. It's one of like his greatest inventions that he was working on before he died. And I guess the technology never came out. He had some issues. He didn't have enough funding. There was so much going on with people stealing his idea, and this techpreneur was able to accomplish. But the challenge is, in as much as he's doing these great things, he's facing challenges from all over. There are stories about Mr. Maxwell being threatened by, you guess, the oligarchy, the big people who run the energy sector all over the world. As you know, like being able to create such a thing is going to disrupt the industry. It's going to disrupt the technological industry. And you already know we have big players who are always gaining from such technologies. You have people who make big money from the electricity industry. And I guess whenever someone comes with something that's going to transform and change the things, you definitely expect things are not gonna go easy. But I like his resilience. He's always outspoken. He's speaking about the time that he was poisoned, but he was able to recover and figure out ways of doing things. He actually started in Zimbabwe, and then he got a sponsorship and came to the States and was able to tap in with great minds. But the challenge there is all these technologies that he's creating, it's hard for him to get the technology patented so that it can actually belong to him. He's finding hurdles here and there of people not agreeing with or people who want to actually kind of like understand how he was able to do that. And if you understand intellectual property, if you have something, if you have a technology that you feel like that's your idea, that's your source, you don't want to put your source out there, because you know we have people all over the world who are known for stealing ideas. We have people who are always waiting for innovators to create something, and then they take it, they put their name on it, and they steal it, and then It's no longer yours. It belongs to them. We've all had stories of people who've innovated ideas, who've came up with life-changing ideas and technologies. And guess what? Because they didn't have enough resources to patent, someone who had.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop at that because I thought it was gonna really be the what's the name showing his invention, but I see it's just somebody else talking about him. And I tried to I wish I would have saved the video, the original video, bro, because it really does look like they kind of stripping it off the internet. Like it's hard to even find.
The ancient Egyptians understood that they could use sound
that's why I'm like
to reduce their weight.
I'm afraid.
One of Zimbabwe's most celebrated technopreneurs, Maxwell Chikumbutso, has once again come up with a masterstroke innovation. And this time, it is an embedded wireless power generator that uses radio frequency to power a television set. Chikumbutso demonstrated his latest innovation to a ZBC News crew at his base in Harare, whereby a TV does not need the electricity connection for it to function.
This is our self-powered TV that we have designed, the first in the world to have such kind of a technology, where a television is powered with a radio frequency. So as you can see right now, I'm powering this television. So this is the first television in the world that uses self-power to say. It is all in one. You don't need to put it on electricity or on solar panel or anything. As it is a complete solution. Behind the television, you can see that there is a microsonic energy device, this box. This is the device that is converting radio frequencies into pure energy. As you can see, the power of the cable was supposed to be here. On all traditional televisions, power comes here, but there's no power, as you can see. The television is working as it is. So in layman, I think this television is we can call it a self-powered television.
It is indeed an exciting innovation that comes in handy.
So I'm gonna pause right there. So as y'all can see, why they would fucking whack this nigga, bro. You see that why they would whack this nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because that completely eliminates all of that fucking shit. All of it. It eliminates. I mean, bro, if you could do that shit to a TV, that means you could do it to a house. It's scalable. That's scalable, bro. If you can put something that small, that look like that's maybe about like the size of like a small tablet or something. Like as far as like the diameter and perimeter of the motherfucker. Seems like it's about the size of a tablet. And it's about the thickness of maybe like 3-4 inches. Not even 3-4 inches, maybe 2 inches or something like that of thickness. And that shit is powering, which from what we look like a 55, maybe 60-inch screen TV. And it's not plugged into the wall. It's being self-powered by a device that uses radio frequency as power. You understand what I'm saying? And that right there would destroy the whole electric industry if you can just use the radio frequency that's being generated from the earth or from a radio station and power your devices. Imagine driving around a car that don't need gas. All you gotta do is turn the radio on. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause that's what we talking about, brother. And that dude, like I said, I think they personally gonna try to get rid of him because they already trying to suppress his information. I think they're gonna try to whack dude eventually. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just saying, just like the electric universe and the plasma universe scientists, I don't give a damn about what color they are or anything of that nature. All I care about is the fact that the powers that be are willing to suppress these people, and that's enough for us to listen to what the fuck they saying. We've had a couple of crackers. I mean, my bad. We had a couple of Tamahoos in the community that have actually contributed a lot to our consciousness and the development of our consciousness. And you know what I'm saying? Bill Cooper is one of them. William Cooper, he's the author of the Behold the Pale Horse book. And I mean, if you,
Oh yeah.
you
When you
understand,
talking
like,
about.
I mean, he blew the top off that shit. That man lost his life, I think, back in like 2004 or something like that. They eventually caught up with him and whacked him. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, people like that I call brothers of humanity. Those are brothers of humanity, brother, because they're doing things that that benefits all of us, and they don't give a fuck about what color you are. All they care about is the fact that you're a human, and that we need this technology, or we need this information. And and now the scientists in the plasma universe, the scientists behind the electric universe, those people are in jeopardy of the same. Maxwell Busso, he's also in jeopardy of losing his life dealing with these fucking people. You know what I'm saying? And, I mean, I hate to say it, people like this brilliant inventor, brother, I'm gonna be honest with you. You're gonna have to take your technology, and you're gonna have to circulate that shit around the world for free. That's the only way you're gonna be able to get your shit off the ground. You're gonna have to circulate it for free, and that way, once the technology's out, once it's out, they can't do shit about it. See, once you get that shit patent and stuff like that, yeah, true enough, you own the rights and all of that stuff to it, but they also got the right to hold your patents, and they still got the right to give you the right to circulate that shit. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that I hope is not gonna be the problem with the Sapphire project. When they test the electric sun model, they the first phase of it, they did get that peer reviewed for whatever reason, but phases 2 and 3 they didn't. They're waiting for patents, and they still have a couple patents pending on their plasma engines that they built and designed.
Right.
Because now they know, because they went to MIT and presented everything, and they know that plasma can generate clean energy. And it'll eradicate nuclear waste. So I'm like, now that's another threat to the energy industry. Clean energy. Now they said, and Monty Childs, he's one of the chief engineers. We interviewed him, and he said nothing is free. You know what I'm saying? So there's a cost behind it, yes, but not as substantial as it is with nuclear power plants and hydroelectric plants and things of that nature. No, but that would change the energy industry. So good luck to them, because their patents could be held up in that patent office. You know, because of the politics of patents.
And that's what I mean by the suppression, bro. They'll keep that shit in the patent office, waiting to get patented till that motherfucker dies.
Yeah.
Until he dies, and when he dies, that patent to get pulled, and some other person to get, or some corporation to get the credit for that shit. And that's what I'm saying. What they need to do is put this shit in circulation. That way, you know what I'm saying, and put it out there. Yeah, I'm bringing this all over the world. It's a gift. Here, I'm letting you have it. I'm not selling it to you. You can have it. You see what I'm saying? That way, there's no way to recall. You can't recall the shit. You see what I'm saying? When that shit go through one of them corporations, the corporation own that shit, and if the corporation go through any type of litigation or any type of things like that, and they have to recall those products and shit like that, like that, that's how the shit gets suppressed. You see what I'm saying? But when you go out and you just give that shit out around the world, and once that technology gets to circulating around the world, it is a wave that cannot be stopped. Once you take it through the patent office and you get permission, and you have to wait and seek permission to put your ideas out in the world, the fact that you have to do that's the problem. So you either create your own patent office, or you say fuck them, go around them, and you distribute that technology on your own. That's the only way to do it. You got to do it the same way rappers, people in the hip hop community had to do their music. You know what I'm saying? We had to find ways around, and eventually we had to go independent. We had to be our own distributors. We had to be our own producers. We had to be our own, you know what I'm saying, engineers. You see what I'm saying? And then we was able to control the narrative. They're gonna have to do the same thing. If you keep going to big business, these big people that are always going to be the ones that's controlling the narrative. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to go with what makes most profits and not what actually profits humanity. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, it's all political bullshit. That's the crazy. You think that science and technology should be the thing that we're trying to better mankind, if you will. We're trying to better our environment. But it's so fucking political that these motherfuckers don't give a shit. They only give a shit about their own bottom line, which is the dollar. You know, and where their dollar is gonna double and triple, like legal drug money. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a shit. And when I figured that out, I'm like, oh well, damn, it's all a farce. You know what I mean? It's all a farce. It's like, I guess people that follow like mainstream science, and I've heard it from even Aunt West. Science is self-correcting. No, the fuck it's not. For you to say that, that means just like you were saying in the call. I'll be listening, dog. I'll just be slaying back. When you tell motherfuckers it's like they're just like in a religious spell with science, that's pretty much right. It's no different. I call science, cosmology, science, and yeah, scientism and religion cancel each other out. So you'll get a guy even like Bill Nye. I've heard Bill Nye, the science guy, really come down hard on creationists and speak from a position of power and a position of superiority, and come down on them and say, you just don't maybe understand what you're reading or whatever. Evolution is a fact. This is a fact. This is a fact. This is a fact. And I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Neil Tyson deGrasse, same thing.
Yeah, how is it a fact? It may be a well established idea, but as a fact, like it can't. I mean, a fact is something that's irrefutable, man. It's like they call them axioms in math. Something is self evident. Like I don't know, man. I don't think it works that way. I don't think it. You know, come on, man. Like, yo, I mean, I've told these niggas in these groups, man, that if you're gonna use science to argue down a super religious person and shit, then I basically can come up to you and beat you and with 3-card Molly. I can get you with the fucking ball underneath the fucking shells. I could hustle you out of $50-$60 if I see you. And they're like, no, that's bullshit. No, nigga, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So
you can so they ear hustling us, man. They ear hustling us.
We gonna end the broadcast here in a few minutes, man. But like I said, we just want to make a couple of closing remarks. So Plasma Universe, Electric Universe, hey y'all, go look into it, cause ThunderBolt Project, Sapphire, the Sapphire Project, go look into it, bro. If you into consciousness and you trying to go to the next level with your understanding, you need to get into understanding Maxwell, understanding Lorentz. You need to start understanding some of these electrical scientists, electrical engineers, you know what I'm saying, and plasma scientists. You really need to start digging off into these things. Again, we went over Lichtenberg burnings and planetary scoring by the way of plasma discharge and stuff in the atmosphere. We went up. What else did we go? We watched Ben Hyde.
The knit needles.
Right. We watched Ben Hyde talk about his transition from quantum physics, particle science into the whole plasma universe. I mean, plasma cosmology, electric universe paradigm. And he talked about that and why, you know, he actually went that route, and you know, makes sense because I might not have his same education or his same life path, but that's basically the same stuff that the same reasons that made me chase this down is because what I started reading in particle science, what I started reading in quantum physics wasn't matching up to what we actually observing in real life. So we just went over the brother, the inventor, Maxwell from Zimbabwe. Y'all need to go check him out. Like I said, he doing big things. We need to, as a conscious community, all that black unity, black power shit don't mean nothing if you're not gonna get up off your ass and stand up for some real shit. and we need to stand behind him. He's a brilliant inventor from South Africa. He's quote unquote so-called black African from Zimbabwe. We need to be behind this guy 100%, helping strengthen his company, helping to project that forward, because we got as a people, and we don't have no allies. If he's running into a problem where he can't get his shit patented, then we need to come together as a people and create our own fucking patent office and get his shit patented. You understand what I'm saying? Like we need to go on that level, nigga. Y'all don't want to play ball. You don't want to do what the fuck we want. We'll do it ourselves, bitch. You know how we get down. You see what I'm saying? And we need to be just as aggressive when it comes to our intellectual property. And I'm not Zimbabwean, but that man does have the same ancestors I do. All of us got the same ancestors. We all go back to the same mother. Hey, look, they trying to take our brother's shit. We need to buck up. We need to knuck up. We need to buck up and protect that shit. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, you know what I'm saying, it's Naga World Order and Pooh Crew in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Information age. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know how we get down. Shout out Lions Den whenever y'all ready for that onslaught. Y'all know where we at.
Lions Den champ in the building.
Lions Den champ in the fucking building, nigga. A reigning champ. Ain't nobody gonna take that crown because they scary ass, too scary to jump they bitch ass in the fucking ring. Y'all know how it is. Y'all know we the most aggressive debaters out here. You know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to hear none of that fucking House of Consciousness shit. No source, none of that shit, nigga. It's right over here. Naga and Pooh, y'all know what it is, nigga. Straight warmongers in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? We a whole clique of warmongers. Y'all know how we get down. And I'm gonna close us out with that brilliant song that me and my brother just laid the fuck down. And we're gonna get back in these back chats, man, and chop it up, because I heard that we got some more information that we need to deal with.
To silence all those who silence me.
Bam, right, that nigga bam too. Put your body in the sand dome. Bam, right, that nigga bam too. Put your body in the sand dome. Keep it chopping, keep your man cool. Keep it chopping, keep your man cool. Goofy ass niggas always talking that shit. You ain't got to lie, Fred. You ain't got to lie. Talking niggas always running that lip. You ain't got to lie, Fred. You ain't got to lie. Niggas always talking that shit. You ain't got to lie, Fred. You ain't got to lie. Talking niggas always running that lip. You ain't got to lie. Niggas be talking that just shit, like where you at, where you at. Listen, women always out chasing and back chat. When shit get real, niggas get the duck and they act flat. Nigga, you ain't got no beef. Narcissistic, this a quackalicious, this a shark ascension, this a shark convention. Fuck the news, ain't nothing new under the sun, bitch. Catch them in Texas and Memphis, so word to run quick. When the cockle crow, we locking low. That's a murder shit. Set King say it's upstream, but it's turbulence, not hurting shit. Keep it the buck, real niggas don't listen to training moans. Perfect Castle and Greg's, nigga, my favorite song. This real not gonna word them news, niggas, they beta clones. They ratings gone, what the fuck is they hating on? Got us like when I put the laser on. Goofy ass niggas always talking that shit. You ain't got to lie, Fred. You ain't got to lie. Talking niggas always running that lip. You ain't got to lie, Fred. You ain't got to lie. Goofy ass niggas always talking that shit. You ain't got to lie, Fred. You ain't got to lie. Niggas always running that lip. You ain't got to lie. Liar, pants on fire. Put them cowards in the fryer. Stitches in they jeans. Check them niggas for a wire. Naga the empire. Smoking crabs in the Hampshire. In they head like a rental buyer. That dragon flame make the Kindle higher. I know some dribbler niggas that to pop that nigga for a feature. Retro soul with ancient scrolls. I'm robbing reapers.
Roll a riddle up and put some fire to the edge. Got a puff pass when you smoking on that crib. Bitch, you the news, we always on your front page. And when Naga tsunami, you always trying to catch some weight. And you niggas can't see us cause we be shining gamma ray. God is light, drops mic, come get these bodies off the stage.
Peace out, y'all.
Oh, you off already?
Oh, no, well, you know, we just